So one of the things that was said by Prince Turki Al Sheikh at the kickoff press conference for Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou is that he would like to match Artur Beterbiev against Dimitrii Bivol for the undisputed light heavyweight championship in June this year. Given the fact that this guy, Prince Turki Al Sheikh, is involved with his enormously deep pockets and his willingness to put his hands in those deep pockets and draw out enormous amounts of cash for these fighters, I have to imagine that this fight is almost a certainty, nailed on to happen now, in my view. Now, there was a previous obstacle in the way of this fight, and that was the nationality of Dimitrii Bivol. Beterbiev had long ago changed his nationality officially to Canada, or at least his residence to Canada. And Dimitrii Bivol has changed his nationality to his country of birth, which is apparently Kyrgyzstan. There's nothing standing in the way of this fight happening now with the money that's on the table. So we should get to see Artur Beterbiev square off against Dimitrii Bivol in June. Based upon their most recent performances, I have to imagine that a lot of people are going to be siding with Artur Beterbiev now, because boxing fans are very reactionary. After the Yard fight, they will say, oh my God, Bivol's going to play with Beterbiev. But then Bivol didn't look $1 million in his last fight, and Beterbiev looked very good against Callum Smith. Now people are going the other way in the other direction and saying, no, Beterbiev's going to do it. Well, you have to focus on styles. People are talking about PEDs, this, that, and the other. No. Artur Beterbiev has been doing demolition jobs on people, such as the one he did on Callum Smith. For years, he's been doing that since the amateurs. It's not like all of a sudden he went from just being a run-of-the-mill champion to a demolition artist in the past couple years. No, he's been doing it since he was a kid. You can see footage of him in the amateurs dropping Usyk. He beat Usyk in the amateurs. So he's been a beast from day one. You knew what you were getting with him going into the Callum Smith fight. It's just that people, a lot of the time, don't fully understand that styles make fights. Anthony Yard has a particular combination of attributes, which I said before the fight were more conducive to giving Artur Beterbiev trouble than the combination of attributes that Callum Smith has. That's not to say that Anthony Yard could necessarily beat Callum Smith, and we might find out in the not too distant future if the Saudis put on this Queensbury versus Matchroom show. We might get to see Yard versus Smith. Throw a load of money at both of those guys, perhaps they'll take it. But styles make fights. Boxing is rock, paper, scissors. All the stuff about PEDs, you could apply that to any of Artur Beterbiev's fights going back, because presumably he wouldn't have just been juicing for this one fight, right? Or is that what you're saying? Again, he's been doing demolition jobs on people for years. Moving on from that, Dimitrii Bivol has a particular style. He has a particular set of attributes, and that includes incredible speed. I can't imagine that Artur Beterbiev will have encountered speed like this very many times in his career, amateur or pro. And in fact, certainly not as a pro. He's never fought anybody as fast as Bivol as a pro, and potentially not as an amateur either. Now, somebody popped up in the comments last time I said this and said, Beterbiev fought Usyk 3 times in the amateurs. He has fought somebody as fast as Bivol. No. Usyk is not as fast as Bivol. If you can't see that Usyk is not as fast as Bivol, Specsavers, mate. That's not to say that Usyk isn't fast. He is fast. But Bivol is just much faster. His movement is different in terms of the way he moves around the ring on his feet to Usyk. But in hand speed, he is incredibly fast and definitely faster than Usyk. So he has an exceptional attribute which has the potential to surprise and befuddle Artur Beterbiev. I think that early on in the fight, Bivol is going to have more success, because when you're in there with a fighter who's very fast, it typically takes a while to get accustomed to the speed. We saw that a little bit when Beterbiev fought Anthony Yard. Early doors, Yard's speed was kind of confusing Beterbiev a little bit. Yeah, it was getting caught with check left hooks on the way in and all that type of stuff. Dimitrii Bivol is more experienced than Anthony Yard. He's going to be calmer, I would imagine, since he had this extensive amateur background. He's been fighting at championship level for a long time. And he obviously beat Canelo. He's got a lot of confidence and so on. He should be letting that hand speed win him the early rounds against Artur Beterbiev potentially. Now, the way that you deal with someone who's much faster than you is you stick a jab on him. A well-timed, well-placed, solid jab can help to slow down a lot of these very fast guys. But still, Bivol's got a fantastic jab of his own, which is also fast. The last person who Artur Beterbiev fought that was somewhat similar to Dimitrii Bivol was Alexander Gvozdyk. And Gvozdyk did win a lot of the early rounds against Artur Beterbiev. Some people had him ahead at the point where he got stopped. Bear in mind, Beterbiev is older now than he was when he fought Vosnik. Now, you got the likes of Tony Bellew out there saying that Beterbiev's stronger now than he was. He's just salty and bitter that Beterbiev just destroyed his friend, Callum Smith. He's just salty and bitter about that because he got caught up in the hype, as so many British boxing fans apparently did, thinking that Callum Smith was going to go in there and do a demolition job. It's like, guys, why don't you understand the concept of styles make fights? Callum Smith has got a long history of shelling up, putting the earmuffs on, and laying on the ropes. What did you think was going to happen when he did that against Beterbiev? When has Callum Smith ever had fast feet where he can stay away from a guy? Did he stay away from John Ryder? No. Was he able to stay away from Canelo Alvarez? No. He was getting pinned on the ropes by those guys. Why did you think that he wouldn't get pinned on the ropes by Beterbiev? Anyway, Bivol's style, I think, will work much better against Beterbiev because he has the speed, phenomenal speed, foot movement, a great jab, confidence, extremely disciplined, ambitious. So I'll leave it with that. Artur Beterbiev versus Dimitrii Bivol. Great fight. Let's hope it happens in June, as we've been promised. Are you sick and tired of the mainstream mindset? Does the dogmatic conformity and pathological ignorance have you tearing your hair out in frustration? Then don't be alone. Come and join our brotherhood on Patreon. We stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. You'll gain access to my weekly topical podcast where we take more deep dives than Jacques Cousteau on an endless variety of subjects. There's also videos, interviews, live Q&As, as well as a vast back catalogue of previous episodes, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen via the Patreon app or download in high-quality MP3. Connect with myself and hundreds of other members in our Element chat group. There's no contract, no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a Mickey D's McMuffin. Just head to my Patreon page via the link below this video and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. I'll see you over there.